Welcome, everybody. I heard that the Dutch people are already anxious to get lunch because they will usually eat at 12. We try to make it fast, but bear with us at least half an hour. So this talk is about Mosaic, the layout solution you always wanted. It's not only about us. And it is, next to me is Peter Holzer, and I'm Philip Bauer. From Munich, Germany, P. Bauer on Git, on IRC and GitHub. I run a global company called Startle.de with 2 people. And yeah, Peter.
Hello, I'm Peter Holzer. I'm from Zurich. Working with Plone for, I think, 11 years now. I'm part of the Blue Dynamics Alliance. We had our 10-year anniversary party, or kind of dinner, yesterday. Yeah.
So we to kind of hijack this talk, there should be quite a lot of people who should give this talk instead of us, because neither of us has committed a single line of code to Mosaic or one of its predecessors. I actually filed 2 tickets. Peter did a lot of testing, and he has a real-life project. I'm just a fanboy. So why are we doing that? I think there's a good reason to be a fanboy of Mosaic, and Eric just explained that earlier. This is the 3rd stepping stone, the 3rd person in the triumvirate that we've been talking about for quite some years now. It consisted of diazo, dexterity, and Mosaic. So this is what we're talking about. So imagine you get a mock-up for a new front page for a customer project. You get a picture sent to you. It looks like this. It's like on the left, you see the CEO of the company. He's the head. You have some text here. And so what do you see structure-wise? You see a title, sure. You see probably a description because it's kind of bold. You see rich text. You see more rich text. You see an image, another image, and you see some table of content items. We're going to do something which we should not do. We're going to try to build that. But first, let's look at the options that you have to build something like this. At the moment, the number 1 solution would be write a custom type. It has a title, a description, 2 rich text fields, 2 image fields, and in your view, you aggregate the content types you want to display in the table, and that you write a template that displays this, all that stuff in a nice way. I guess everybody does that about every 2nd week.
And everyone knows that the layout won't change at all.
Never changes. So there's also other options. There are several add-ons that some have been around for quite a long time. Some are newer. Just to mention collage, portlet page, content wall portlets, and collective cover. But this is not about these. This is about the new solution, the 3rd one in the triumvirate. This is plone.app.mosaic. This is the package, how it's called. And we're actually going to do a live demo to see where it fails. Or maybe not. So Peter is going to do the clicking. So first we have to have a document in our website. So this is stock Plone 5 with plone.app.mosaic installed. Nothing fancy there. We add a page. It's a default dexterity document. Nothing specific about that. We add a title. It's a little slower than the super blazing fast screencast that Asko did. I guess he sped that up. We add a description and some rich text, and we save the whole thing. And yeah, this is super, because it's Plone 5, but this is nothing new. But now we switch the display to the Mosaic layout because we install plone.app.mosaic. We have a different view. And what changed? Did someone see a change? No, nothing changed, nothing at all. But now when we click Edit, we see that actually stuff changed. Do that. Now we can select one of the default, the shipped templates, layouts. Yeah, we select this, and now we're in a different edit template, edit mode. And we can edit, you might remember KSS. This looks a little similar, but it's something completely different. So we can edit the content and just modify the text, and this is valid for all fields, also image and other fields. And this just works. TinyMCE is embedded in the rich text field there when you click in it, and you could save it, and then your content is saved. But we have a job to do. We got the mock-up, and we want the CEO to show up there. So what we're going to do is click on the button that appeared on the top. It's called Customize Layout. We're going to do that. And now, when we click on one of these fields in the content area, click on one of the fields in the content area. No, not this one. In the content area. Yeah. We not only can edit the text, you see the arrows, so we can now move it around, so we can position our content anywhere. Yes, exactly. So we did the first job that we had to do. We moved the description on the right side of the title. So that's how long would that have taken to do in a page template? A little longer than like these half second that it took here. Okay, but we also have the insert and the format drop downs on the right side. We're going to insert. We need 2 rich text fields, 2 image fields, and we need a content listing. So let's add the first image field. We upload an image. We select a scale, a maximum scale. So the images are floating. They're responsive. So they're scaling when you go in. And we add that on the top left. Yes, exactly. Here, as the markup tells us. And now we see the rich text is glued to the text, so we don't want that. So we add some padding to the image. Click on the format, add padding right. Much nicer. We also need another rich text field, and that has to be in a different row. So we're using a grid-based layout here. Insert another rich text field in this case. This is in the mockup. If you remember the mockup on the bottom left, there was a rich text field. And we add it. You see the blue line expands to the full width. Go up a little, and you see that now we would add it on below one of these tiles. But if we move it below everything, we add a new row. So that's like, yes, perfect. Almost done. Now we add another image. Yes, padding bottom, beautiful. Another image that has to go to the bottom right of the rich text. Yeah, it's true. Do we have the lead image? Yes, we have the lead image behavior enabled for that content type. So there's already a field for that. So Peter picked that field, and we're going to add it to the bottom right of that rich text. So this is actually provided by the schema. And so you see there is a difference between some of the fields, some of the blocks, some of the tiles that we pull in there. And one of them, the differences is this, for example, is provided by the schema or a extension of the schema, a dexterity behavior in this case. The lead image behavior is shipped with plone 5, nothing fancy about that. And others are not provided by the schema. So here we have an image. Nice. Now we need the content listing. It's in the first row to the right. It should go there. This is not part of the schema. We would add some code that maybe uses plone.app content listing or something like that to create a list of dictionaries of items, and then iterate over that and create a beautiful table. And if we want to modify that, it would be tough. So we'd have, not tough, but we'd have to modify the Python probably and stuff like that. So this is a collection. We tag with Hong Kong. And we select the display mode. In this case, we select the table, tabular view. So and now we have, you see, the grid layout, arranged the stuff in a nice way, but we can influence that. So let's move the bottom left rich text a little to the right so it fills 2/3 of the screen. Yes, so you see the cursor changes and we can move the stuff around. I think this also needs some right padding. So, and the last thing is probably the, if I remember the mock-up correctly, the description should go a little to the left, a little more to the left. No, the description. No, that's not the description. Yes, there's also a row, a little to the left. Yes. I think it looks very close to what the, well, let's peek at the mock-up. Yeah, totally, perfect. We're kind of done. So, yeah, we saved that, and it's saved. Maybe there's, the table needs some love. We should modify the table cells, or choose a different layout, and there's should be a person in your company that adds some nice CSS rules to make it look a bit different. But this is stock plone. There's nothing that we added except for mosaic. So, but everybody has a guy or a girl in their company, and they know some CSS or less or SAS, and make it look a little nicer. That's not our job. We're doing layout, structure. We're not doing the final coloring of everything.
So there's one feature that we didn't mention. You can just add the existing content, and it not only works for your standard views, it also works for existing mosaic views. So this is the document. The other one.
You can also embed stuff. Are we going to embed a video? Should we do that? Oh, yeah. We just had to look at the title of something that we want to embed.
Here I got a prepared mosaic page, and I just can add the whole mosaic page here, even with the view in it.
So this is a mosaic page within a mosaic page. You can add a mosaic page to the next mosaic page until you get crazy. Should we add another video, or is that video enough?
I will save it in another video.
Okay, let's add another video. You have one with cats? I love cats.
Sure.
I'm a cat person.
So we have this embed tile. We just can add a URL. It will fetch the whole embed code, and because we all love cats, we put it on top.
Sweet. Thanks for this. This is just for me. So, let's go back from the live demo to the slides, to the safe zone. Did any one of you guys see that before? Hands up. That's not everybody. So there is the thing we're showing here has a pretty long history. It started off at the Plone conference in Washington in 2008. Actually, the first conference I attended. I wasn't part of any of that. Totally new. There was a meeting between Gare Beckhold, Alex Lemy, Lawrence Rowe, and Martin Espelli. One of these four is here today. And they came up, discussed stuff, and they proposed, came up with two proposals that were published in winter of 2008 called Blocks Grid-Based Layouts and Deco Grid-Based Layouts. And from there on, it became Deco. The first prototype was built in 2009 by Rob. I always get your name wrong. Gitemar, or is that a? Where's Rob, by the way? Is Gitemar okay? Super. I already made fun of the Dutch, so I'm not gonna try to ruin your name. So yeah, he wrote the JavaScript prototype of the Deco editor. It's not a prototype, it's actually working, and it's at the core of what we're still using here. A lot of work was done in 2009, 2010. There was a multitude of sprints, the UI sprint in Bauer, the living statue sprints, also 2009. Rob gave two presentations that year, one in Sorrento at the European Plone Symposium, one at the Plone conference in Budapest, not Bucharest. 2010, there was the Cathedral sprint, another living statue sprint, and the Plone conference in Bristol, where Rob gave another presentation on the state of Deco. And in 2011, it was the Bristol UI sprint, and a new package got created, another one that was never finished, called CMS UI. And the whole idea behind CMS UI was to separate the editing interface from the theme via iframes. So everything would be in pop-ups, the toolbar, and every editing thing you do. So to completely separate these. Then there was the conference in San Francisco, and there a new name was born, Deco Lite. We decided to move, not we, I was part of that discussion, but I was just listening into the big guys talking. So decided to move the editing experience into the content area only and not expand it to the title, portlets, and footer area. So it's a little easier for editors, and it's harder to ruin your site also. 2012 came, the C Sprint, the Plone conference in Arnhem, and there was a change in maintainership and a change in the philosophy. So the CMS UI was, a lot of the JavaScript was rewritten by Rock Garbus. And after that, it kind of stalled. So in 2012, Rock gave a presentation in Arnhem saying, Deco, finally. And then it was not done. So nothing happened for quite some time. It's not true. A lot of stuff happened. And what happened was actually really important. A lot of the packages that are used by Deco matured over time. They got included in the core. They got used and perfected, like dexterity. Deco was always built to only work with dexterity. And only with Plone 5 is dexterity the default content framework. So, but in 2014, Ramon and Victor got together and decided to give the whole thing a new push, and Asko Suka, Guido van Rossum, yes, no, not Guido van Rossum, Guido Stevens and Nathan Van Giem, that's the ban in that sentence, came together. Nathan didn't take part in that sprint, but he joined the effort. And there was the Mosaic sprint in Barcelona, and all the alpha packages had matured by that time. They went back to the older version of the JavaScript editor, dropped the whole iframe overlay idea, and fixed quite, in quite a short time span, they fixed a lot of issues and made that work in a, not productive, but in a development environment. So you might ask yourself, what are the main reasons why this took so long, such a long lifespan. And the problem from the beginning to now was how to hook up the amazing front end that Rob created, the Deco editor, with the back end, which is Plone. So there was Martin Aspelli who wrote plone.app blocks and plone tiles and plone blocks, and there was Rob who wrote the Deco editor. But to get these two technologies work well together, there was a man in the middle missing. And Asko, I think, can be described as the man who actually was the man in the middle who came along a little late, but not too late for the party. Sadly, he's not here at the party. I'm going to talk about that soon. So that was one of the issues. Also, a lot of alpha technology was used. And there was a unfortunate maintainer and strategy switch in the middle of the whole thing. But finally, we're getting there. And here are some of the people that had a really leading part in the whole project. And if you're not on that, I excuse myself, but the pictures would have been really, really small if everybody would have been on there. So the first four, Rob, Asko in the middle, Nathan, David, a lot of people, and we thank you a lot for what you did. So, how do you use it, or what do you use it for?
So right now we have two main use cases. One is layouts for objects per instance, and the other one is reusable and centrally managed layouts for content types. The first one is just as we showed you, you have a page to do, add your content, and it will be saved on that instance in the object, just as HTML in a field. You also can make presets, like you have different types of pages, and make it easier for your editor to have a starting point, as I did in my own project. And in those predefined layouts, you also can have protected areas that you can decide what your editors can actually do in your layout. If they're able to move an object, a tile around, or to remove, and so on. The reusable and centrally managed layouts will stay like that until you press the Change Layout button. From that point on, it will be saved on the instance. Yeah, and there's one hidden feature we decided to not disable, but hide it for now. Mosaic makes it possible to change the whole page, not just the content part, but including header, footer, whatever you think of. So this opens a whole new world of possibilities. Main template with a question mark. And it's kind of hard if you're used to Plone as we use it right now to wrap your brain around that thing. So we decided to hide it for now, but that's one feature that is to be discussed, how we want to use it in the future.
So before we go to the next chapter, let's do a preliminary summary. We think, and that's why we're giving the talk, is that Mosaic is a huge leap forward in the approachability and through the web story of Plone. It's the missing link between creating content types through the web and editing your theme through the Diazo theme editor, because now you can create through the web content type views and content type layouts. And not only that, as Peter said, you can expand it to the whole area. So this, we want you to think of the whole range of possibilities that will open. That's like one of the homeworks we're trying to give you for the future.
And we think it's, at least in our opinion, a very editor-friendly way to do content in Plone.
And we want to put the the hackability as a feature and not as a side product by Zope being editable through the web, to the front, and that's why we decided in Sorrento at the strategic summit to put Mosaic as a strategic item on the Plone roadmap.
And for me, it's Plone 5 is cool, but this is a super cool selling feature for Plone.
So how does it actually work? I'm not going to dive too much into that, but when you install plone.app.mosaic, the Mosaic layout view that we selected in the display menu becomes available for all dexterity content types, and also some behaviors get enabled, 2D behaviors get enabled for all dexterity content types by default. So I'm going to just say so much. Behind the scenes, Mosaic uses tiles that are the various small elements that we created, from which we created the site and created the layout from. And these are static, there are some static text files, there are field tiles, and there are app tiles. These are three different sorts of tiles that can hold, the app tiles can hold any dynamic content that you can think of, and it's really easy to write your own tiles. Plone.app.mosaic doesn't want to ship with any tile that you can think of. So if you're a custom project, it's your job to write your own tile. A tile is basically a browser view with some added interfaces. It's really nice. It uses, Mosaic uses plone.app blocks to render the content layout that is stored in a simple HTML structure. We're going to show you how that looks like. And it uses its own grid system that can be made compatible with Bootstrap or Foundation. So you're not limited to the grid system that you're seeing here. This is just the base of it. So those of you who want to learn more about how to develop and not use, develop with tiles, with Mosaic, just read the documentation. It's not rocket science, only Plone. We want to more focus on what you can actually do with that technology. And one of these is you can create a custom layout through the web, export that layout and turn it into a template so that editors can choose it for their own content. And here you see the layout, the exported layout. You go to a still hidden view. You have to read the documentation to know which view to access. It's through the web in the browser. You just add plone.app standard tiles.field/field equals blah, blah, blah. It's in the documentation. And then you get a file that you can download. And the layout, as it is stored in HTML. And this here is from the demonstration, like an earlier iteration of the demonstration, the bottom left rich text tile that Peter added. And notice the movable and removable CSS classes that you see here. And it says the class is Mosaic text tile. It's a Mosaic grid row. It has the position, so it's on the leftmost side. It takes 2/3 of the whole page in. So everything is stored in this simple HTML structure. And another example, this is the to the right side of that rich text tile. This is the image tile. Here, plone.app standard tiles images in line 35. You see it, and it uses the CSS class is Mosaic minus plone.app standard tiles.image minus tile. So most of the tiles we're using in Mosaic come from the package plone.app standard tiles. And below that, you see, which was not in the demo, I also added a related items tile below that. So all the metadata information that is on the Plone content items, like related items, tags, and so on, are also there, available as tiles. We didn't show that in the demo. I just added the related items tile. The XXX as in the end, that is this tile only. So this is how the storage is unique. So when you take this file, you can edit that and copy and paste that into the control panel for Mosaic. To add layouts editor, you create a new file by clicking Neue Datei hinzufügen. You can also do that in English. And save it and register that in the existing manifest CFG. So this is also, again, stock Plone with plone.app.mosaic. We just created a new file, dumped the content from the demo that we created a couple of days ago and saved it in there and added the lower lines 6 to 10 to the manifest CFG. And bam, our layout is registered and available for use for other editors. So now when I create, hang on, and now when I create a new type, you got the layout selection screen that you saw in the beginning. You had 3 different layouts to choose from. The new one, it's called Barcelona, sorry, Bucharest, was also available there, and you get this this layout and you can just edit it. So you can also select to show and hide layouts. Nathan Van Giem added this feature just last week, and so that if there's only one layout, you don't have to select it. It's auto-selected for you. And by manually modifying this template here, and modifying the movable and removable CSS classes, you can prevent certain parts of the layout from being edited or removed, moved or removed. And this gives you a never before seen flexibility and control, because now you as an admin can select the right balance between keeping control over the layout of your customer and the freedom, give some kind of degree of freedom to the editor as much as the corporate identity allows that. So the question you might ask yourself, how does that fare in a live project? And there is actually one. And
So some friends of mine came up to me this summer. They're doing a very colorful news portal, and they wanted to move from front page finally to a CMS. Really. And yeah, Plone 5 was, I think, in beta, RC, something. And yeah, it would be boring to use the old stuff. So I jumped in and started out with Plone 5. As I said, very colorful. It's a content-driven website. We have all kind of content types. We basically use a custom page that's called article. We use the event, and that's basically already it. I prepared custom layouts for them. The typical layout looks like this. So we have a header area, we have the lead image beneath, the title, and what would be really hard is always these side columns. They decide freely if they want to use it or not. We have another example where it isn't used, but what they very much use are the embed functionalities and the tagging mechanism. Also the related items work very well for them.
so what you see in the bottom, there was tiles. That was not by the Plone default layout.
These are all tiles from a predefined layout. So my idea was, yeah, you make a wide fixed layout. Had the idea to always have the lead image on top, but it turned out that, especially with the cinema posters, it doesn't look that good. So at first I had this whole header area locked. They couldn't move it around. We realized we need some more flexibility, and came up with adding just a normal image here. And kind of replace the lead image that we used here. So the lead image now is draggable. Can we move to the side column? So the article still has its lead image for the listings and views, but a way better fitting image on the top. And you see on the start page, it doesn't show up yet. But it, yeah, still works, or works that way.
You're not losing any plone functionality here. Show the people how to edit the metadata. It's not hidden. It's just an additional button.
So any field that's not present in your visible layout is within the properties. And there you have your well-known tabs to change stuff. Also custom behaviors that won't show up in the content at all, but are just used for the presentation. You have it here on the properties overlay. So yes, to be honest, I would do it the same way again. I'm quite happy with the solution. There's still a lot of work to do. They are actually editing still in front page and in Plone at the time. And the plan is to be online by end of the year, and quite confident that we will make it.
So, yeah, back from the demo. So where do we go from here? I remember a lot of talks on Deco, and the main question, the first question that was always asked, can I use that in my live projects? And we feel comfortable to say, yes, you can. We're actually that comfortable and that we decided to not sprint on Mosaic during the conference sprint. Instead of that, we will decide based on your feedback when you use it in real production projects, maybe not the 500,000 user, 10 million document university website, but maybe start a little smaller, but don't start with your personal homepage only. Use it for real projects, so get paid for the work that you're doing there, and assemble feedback, collect ideas. So we think the world is ready, Mosaic is ready for use in production, and you should start using it right now. You don't have to wait for Plone 5.1 to use it. Just add Plone App Mosaic to your build out and some version pins, and you're kind of gone. We're not presenting a technical roadmap because we want to decide what will be in the roadmap together with you based on your feedback. So create issues for any questions or problems you have on GitHub. Think of additional use cases for Mosaic that you have. Like if you say you really want to edit the whole layout area, that would probably need some discussion how to improve the user interface to make that usable. And we know that Mosaic ties in with a lot of discussions that have been going on in Plone for quite some years, like folderish types, editing in general, approachability, the through the web story, hackability, through the web views, theme fragments. There's several add-ons around that try to solve all these issues. And I think together, based on real life projects, we can decide how to go forward and how Mosaic will solve all these problems without having a multitude of different add-ons again in the future. So thanks to you for waiting so long for Deco, and now you don't get it, we get Mosaic instead. Thanks to all the people that worked on that project, all the people who have actually thought of about these concepts that we're using here. And most of all, thanks to Asko at the moment at least. He, in the last 2 years, he put in a terrible amount of work. He's at home in Finland taking care of his kids, which I think is awesome. But like every couple of hours when the kid is sleeping, he grabs his keyboard and answers questions and fixes issues in Mosaic and adds new stuff there. So thanks Asko, and hey Asko! And now it's time for you to ask questions. Please don't ask too many technical questions, otherwise I'll have to refer to too many people in the audience. Ramon, for example, Martin, Rob. Yes.
Having this, does it make sense to have all sorts of different content types we have, and as opposed to having folder and content, and then you add a content and say, okay, this is going to be an image, you do it from the layout. Okay, this is going to be a document, you do it from the layout, but not different content types.
We have an issue or discussion on the issue tracker where we want kind of move away from the idea of portal types, but more strongly use the behaviors to add functionalities to your page.
Okay.
It doesn't always work that way. For example, if you import structured content, it needs to be stored somewhere, and it doesn't want to be stored in a static tile. So the discussion for the one content type to rule them all, that is really, really old, but it's still going on.
What about searchable text? Searchable text. Does these tiles containing text show up in the portal search?
Yes, there is some collective indexing product that allows to index the whole content of the page. And every content that is not part of the schema is saved in one field and will be indexed.
The use case you had with the poster not fitting the preview image, or the how do you tell it, teaser image in the buff, could be solved with image cropping too.
Sure.
Should be integrated.
Create a tile.
But then the whole image is cropped. Now he has the original image on the right side.
No. Misconception.
Okay.
You even need no separate tile for that. You just need to say this tile is using scale teaser image and make this croppable.
Create a tile. Any more questions? So if there's no questions, I'd like to hear who thinks he wants to try, or she wants to try Mosaic in one of the next projects? Hands up. We love you. Thank you. Have a good lunch.